I want to talk to you about developing a wealthy mindset. It's incredibly difficult to become rich if you think like a poor person. We all know people who struggle financially. They're everywhere. Let me show you something. This is a gold Rolex Daytona. Many younger people may not recognize the significance of Daytona, but this was Paul Newman's watch. I own 4 of them. Some might say, what a waste of money. That's exactly how a poor person thinks. But why do I buy a $50,000 watch, gold rings, and other valuable assets? The reason is simple. America's national debt is skyrocketing. The country is heading toward bankruptcy. And how do politicians handle economic problems? They print more money. But there's a major flaw with printing money. The rich get richer, while the poor and middle class get poorer. Gresham's law states that when bad money enters a system, good money disappears. Take this 1964 Kennedy half-dollar, for example. My friend Jim Clark from Republic Monetary Exchange in Phoenix, Arizona, sells real gold and silver. According to Gresham's law, when bad money floods the system, real money goes into hiding. Now let me ask you, which would you rather have? A $10 bill or this 50-cent coin? Most people, regardless of age, would take the $10 bill. But that's bad money. The smart ones choose real money. This happens because every time the government prints more money, a practice that started in 1971 when Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard, the rich get richer. Why? Because assets increase in value. But along with assets, the cost of everyday essentials like food and gas also rises. Inflation crushes the poor and middle class. Look at America today. With an election coming up, inflation is making life harder for people. It now takes more of this bad money to buy real money or valuable assets. This is why I invest in real estate. I use debt, this bad money, to buy property, which appreciates over time while the currency itself loses value. The wealthy understand how to use debt to their advantage. They acquire assets like real estate, land, and commodities, while the poor and middle class struggle because inflation eats away at their purchasing power. Gresham's law has been true for centuries. Now, if I hold up this 1964 silver half-dollar and a $10 bill, which would you choose? The rich will always pick the silver coin, while the poor and middle class will take the paper money. Why? Because when governments print excessive money, asset prices soar. My apartment buildings become more valuable. The price of oil rises. Even the cost of a simple chicken at the supermarket increases because transporting goods requires fuel. I've been buying gold since it was $50 an ounce. That's why I own gold mines. I prefer real assets, things I can hold and store securely. When I buy a gold Rolex for, say, $50,000, I'm not just purchasing a watch, I'm buying an asset. If gold is valued at $3,000 per ounce today and projections suggest it will reach $15,000 per ounce, what do you think my watch will be worth in a few years? Sure, I could buy a cheap Swatch or a Timex for $50. I own some of those too, but by purchasing a gold Rolex, I'm making a strategic decision. Some people buy trendy Apple watches, but a true investor understands the value of gold. My gold watch appreciates in value as governments print more money. It's not about the brand, it's about the gold itself. Poor people often prioritize affordability over long-term value. I see people buying expensive handbags or designer shoes, but in the end, those items end up in thrift stores. There's nothing wrong with wearing your wealth. Gold earrings, for example, retain value because of the metal, not the fashion trend. Many people today talk about mindfulness, particularly in Buddhism. But real mindfulness means being aware of your financial decisions. If you constantly settle for cheap options, thinking you're saving money, you may actually be keeping yourself poor. Remember this rule. When governments print money, asset prices rise. The rich benefit because they own assets like oil wells, while the poor and middle class suffer because everything, from gas to groceries, becomes more expensive. The real issue isn't the car you drive, whether it's a Toyota Prius or a luxury collector's car. The issue is how you think. So, ask yourself, are you thinking like a rich person, a poor person, or a school teacher? Schools don't teach the most important lessons about money. If you want to learn the top 3 things schools should have taught you about wealth, watch the next videos.